Aaron, it's gone live.
Okay, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for having a little bit of extra patience just for getting us started today. I want to say a big thank you to everyone showing up. Absolutely big thank you. Can you all hear me okay or not?
Yeah. Yes, thank you.
Is it coming through my mouth or the microphone? Microphone. Okay, that's good. So our new setup here, we thought would take a little bit quicker. We thought it would take less time than it did. So thank you very much. My name is Daniel Halenko. I'm your host for tonight, and I am one of the people that runs Entrepreneurs for Good. Thank you very much. And so the social that you're at tonight is one of 60 socials that are around the world. 60 cities, 7 continents. No one's done Antarctica at the minute. So if you fancy a journey out to the cold place, then we can do one out there as well. So we're currently in 60 cities with a plan to be in 200 by 2020. Entrepreneur Socials was started by a gentleman called Roger Hamilton, who runs an organization called Entrepreneurs Institute. It's the largest entrepreneur training company on the planet and focuses specifically around training entrepreneurs around purpose and profit together hand in hand. I'm going to tell you a little story just to start something off, and it's been something of a journey that we've been on recently, and it is around the difference between the common good and the greatest good. And until we became a globalized society, the common good was perfectly fine. We would live in a particular town or a city or a tribe, and whatever was best for our tribe was what's best, and that's what the common good is. The problem in today's society is that when you have, let's just take politics as an example, where you have far left wing and far right wing, the common good, as far as they're concerned, is very, very different and opposes each other. And so the more global we become, the more we have to take into account that there's only one type of good, and that's the greatest good. And the greatest good takes into account how this impacts everyone in this room. It impacts everyone in your family, your society, your country, and ultimately the world. And it's from this greatest good that Entrepreneurs for Good was born. And it's from this greatest good why we run these socials, why we align ourselves with Roger and his companies, because specifically he taught us, and he taught me one thing, and that is that purpose, profitability, and spirituality can all go hand in hand with whatever you're doing. And that the last handful of decades, whereby purely based on greed or bottom line profit, has yielded actions that are not necessarily in the best interests of everyone in this room, everyone in the UK, or everyone in the world. And regardless of what your persuasion is with your opinion on society and the world, the fact of the matter is that we all know things need to change. And it's this core belief that Entrepreneurs for Good have, is that it's our entrepreneurs that are in this room and everywhere else that can lead that change and make sure that whatever your business is that you're involved in, whether you make tables, whether you're a service-based company, you can still exist and do something more than just make tables and deliver whatever it is you deliver to people. And that is the core message of what we try to make a point of. It's the core message of the speakers that we allow onto our stage to share their story. Because there's enough people in the world that make a product and make a large amount of money from that. The question is, what are you delivering beyond that serves the greatest good and not just your own common good? All of this ties into the United Nations Global Goals, but I'm looking around. Christina, do we have the sheets? No, we don't. Oh. Don't worry about it. So the United Nations Global Goals is 17 goals which the United Nations put together, which if we work towards creates a better, fairer, more sustainable society for everybody. And every single thing that we do, we make sure we're trying to tick some of those off. And it's things like more equality or less inequality, smarter cities, sustainability around cities. You've got no one going hungry, clean water for everyone. I mean, they're really basic things that we can do for people. And these United Nations global goals is what we circle around. Margaret Mead was famous for once saying, never doubt that a committed group of small individuals can change the world, for indeed that is all that ever has. And it's with that that I want to introduce our next speakers. I have Richard and Kerry Flanagan from T-Shirtify, serial entrepreneurs, in my opinion, a very strong power couple as well. They're shaping the influencer market and the influencer industry and giving back to our future generation today with what they work with in schools. So please, in our new venue inside Daisy, can you please give a warm round of applause to Kerry and Richard Flanagan. Super. So for those that won't know who you are, what you do and things like that, just give us a bit of a run through, like who you are and what do you do today?
Can everyone hear me? Yeah.
Is the mic on? Yeah, it is.
Yeah, so we're husband and wife team. We're based in the Midlands. We print merchandise, but we work with all sorts of interesting people like artists, musicians, small brands. So people who are very talented, very creative, and try and make a living as well. And we help them with their businesses and hopefully take away a lot of hassle and do all the bits they don't want to be doing, really.
Yeah, I think. I'll just add to that. I think. I mean, there's lots of what we do is what we call print-on-demand merchandise, so digital, and it basically means you don't have to hold any stock, you don't need any staff. Basically, an order will come through on someone's website. We'll receive that order and ship it direct to their customer within sort of 24 hours. So it does away with the traditional model of holding stock, needing staff, and all those sort of things. So yeah, that's basically in a nutshell what we do, but there's more purpose and more value that we try and offer as well.
Super. So for in your early days before you were even an entrepreneur, I'm always interested to know how school shaped you and everybody, and it can shape ultimately positively regardless, but what was your school experience and what would your teachers have said whilst you were at school about yourself?
My teachers always said, must try harder. I think I was pretty quiet at school, and I enjoyed it probably up until I was about 12 or 13, and then I didn't sort of get excited at school, and as we sort of moved towards GCSEs and A-levels, I really kind of like started I wasn't interested at all. I didn't really see the point in it, and but I struggled through trying to get my A-levels and stuff. Realistically now, if I know what I know, and if I know those support networks out there, I probably would have tried to go it alone a little bit. I suppose I'm on a path basically that most of us are, which is to do academic. Yeah.
And like moving forward from that, like at school, were you told by your teachers that you could or you couldn't do things? And did you have supportive teachers that were kind of pushing you forward to do more, or were you almost left behind to be found sometimes with the kids that you're working with at the minute?
Yeah, well, at school I was always told arty, creative, not academic. And I've had a slightly different story to you, haven't I? I did kind of follow more of a traditional path, I guess, through and went up to uni, knew what I wanted to do. I started off in graphic design, and I was happy doing that. But yeah, I was, what we class as academic, math, science, something like that. Just didn't do well at all.
I think from my point of view, you said, if you get support from teachers, not really. I don't think, it was a while ago since I went to school, obviously, but I think everyone has a teacher, one or two teachers that you actually really, really remember that actually made an effort to understand you and sort of drew something out of you. And it was in an unrelated subject to entrepreneurship, wasn't it, to do that, but they just instill that kind of confidence for them that you've got something of value, I guess. But the system itself, I think, certainly didn't support variant from the system itself, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Just before I go further, Kai, where's Kai in here? Can you just check the sound desk to see if those other two mics can come through? I'm not too sure that they are doing. Who's coming through?
It's
A little bit.
Oh, I need to tap yours for me.
Quite quiet.
All right, cool. Anton, can we just turn that one up a bit?
It should be the same as that one.
Okay. Right, cool, okay. No worries. All right, cheers, guys. So just cast us forward then, because one of the things that really interested me when we first had our discussion was, I think you referred to it as the mutiny, which is in the pub.
Yeah.
So I want to jump forth to that just so that, and then we'll kind of cover some gaps in between. Why were you filling out a pub, and how did that reach almost culminate in a staff mutiny?
Okay, so just give a bit of context, I suppose. I had we before I started printing T-shirts, we got the traditional model of importing T-shirts from America and Japan, all these sort of places, and I'd got some great success with that pretty early on. And so I managed to buy myself some premises, which is an old pub, and that's the offices that we used to work out of. And then slowly I got into basically this really rudimentary way of printing, and in order to sort of fill some gaps where we weren't able to get stock quick enough for America and all these type of things, it was causing issues from our sales projections and stuff. So anyway, so we got into printing, and it just really started to take off. And it took off to the point where we completely weren't prepared for it. And you have these kind of machines which are basically like we call vinyl transfer, so it has to cut a pattern, and you can peel the excess off, put that, turn it over, and then heat press it on. It's very rudimentary. But we were selling like thousands and thousands of these, and the mutiny happened because it was Christmas, and we completely weren't prepared for how busy we were going to be at that Christmas. And we had machines and people all across every single floor of this box. It was 3 floors, and just working hours and hours every single day leading up to Christmas. And the mutiny was where I had to really kind of like try and keep everyone motivated and happy as best I could with the inexperience I had at the time. They were all sort of ready to walk out, so that was a mutiny.
Is this when you learned that your staff don't necessarily work as hard or fast and diligently as the owner?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And so from leaving school, did you go to college? You went to college?
Yeah, I did an art foundation course and then university.
Okay. And so then how do we go from school to printing T-shirts? What happens in between that?
Okay. So I did go to college, and I sort of tried various things and failed basically different courses. And then I started my first business when I was 20, and I discovered there was a support network out there, which was the British Trust. So I started there with a little loan. I actually opened a skateboard shop, because I used to be really into skateboarding. And I opened that with a business partner. I had 3 jobs trying to keep that thing afloat. And sort of hard and fast entry into business. And then he decided to leave, and I'd come across some other guys that were doing music merchandise at the time. And there's kind of a real crossover between skateboarding and the music scene at the time. Well, we can sell to the same customers here, so why don't we merge together? So we basically merged the company. It was a traditional sort of mail order catalogue business. It was doing very well. It was actually in the very early days of the internet. So this was like 1999, 98, 99. I think we all forget just how rudimentary it was back then in terms of the internet. Anyway, but they were doing very well, and but we were still pretty young. I was only 22, 23 at the time, and we did very well. But then the too many books sport were off. Those guys basically decided to leave. We were working out an honest farm, and then I had to sort of those guys left. I took on all the debt. I took on like 170 grand worth of debt when I was like 23. And but I had a vision. I could change it, turn it around, and borrow, beg, and stole to basically keep it all afloat. I had to get rid of all the staff and start all over again. And I really just schooled myself in what I needed to do in order to make the business work, and that was really about marketing, understanding digital marketing. So when we started doing really well.
Is this still in '99?
No, this is moving forward, and then we get to the point where I was in a little room, probably as big as this, just shipping thousands and thousands of T-shirts through every week, importing stuff from America, from Japan, all these different places, stuff you couldn't get anywhere else. And so we really got a name for ourselves in the reselling market, as an e-commerce store. Really began to understand e-commerce. And as I said, got frustrated really with the fact we couldn't get stock quick enough. We didn't sell stuff if we needed to. Customers were waiting for it. And basically started getting into printing. But that was really how it started. It was kind of just to look at what customers were asking for and start fulfilling the need for it. And that's, I suppose, the real key thing is that I've always, even today, everything we do is geared around making customer happy, listening to customer always, and trying to deliver something they want. So that was the first point we started printing T-shirts.
Cool. So actually then, the pain that you were experiencing at the time, which is order fulfillment, or rather sourcing your stock, was the catalyst for what became the business of the future anyway.
Yeah, in its very basic form, yeah. And we started building started systemizing it. So I started systemizing everything that happened at the back end. So it was, very quite intense technology that kind of understands how the order flow, and then how we kind of interpreted that order, how we got it out the door, how we printed it, everything basically. And then we gradually got into, after we had the mutiny, I was like, we can't print in this way anymore. So then we started to look to digital printing. And that was the thing that changed everything for us.
Yeah, when you said this way, you were talking like physically. You observed what you were doing, the space that's been taken up, the type of the kit. And whose call was it then? Because that's quite I imagine you're talking a heavy investment for these machines and the amount you had. And I would imagine a greater investment for digital machines. Mm-hmm. So was that an easy call to make? Or because that's sort of like a process pivot in a way, because I would imagine there's still companies today printing vinyl using the same machines you've got.
Yeah. Well, I'm guilty of having loads of ideas every week, and if there's any new shiny piece of kit that looks interesting, even if it's brand new and it's not been proved, I still want to play with it. So it never felt like a risk to me, because I understand how you can use a machine in a certain way that perhaps other people don't. At the time, no one else was doing the kind of model that we were. The kind of machines we bought were for print shops, where it was for screen printers. And so screen printers allowed them to do smaller volume runs. Whereas we linked it to our website and printed one of 1,000 different types of shirts, where they would normally use it for, just printing 10 to 15 of the same shirt on smaller runs. So we had it was a brother machine and technology, and we had like guys coming in from Germany and Japan looking at our machines going, "Why are you using it this way? We didn't expect you to use it in this way." And they were downloading all the information from our machine. And so they were really interested in what we were doing, because it was different.
Okay, and I'm aware that you guys are like childhood sweethearts at some point from early years, but from a business perspective, maybe around that pub time, when were you involved in that at the stage then, Kerry? Like, when did you come in and when did you stop him with shiny things?
But when the mutiny was taking place, I think I was part of that.
Which side?
I was working a full-time job and then doing evenings until 2 in the morning, reading vinyl. So that's when I started.
Is this pre or post child?
That's pre-child, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So then I did start my own design business with a partner. Only did that for a year or so, and we had children. And it just made sense for me to join the business. I could use my skills. We work well as a team, and I obviously have a lot of knowledge about the business. So it just worked really well to start with. Yeah. and I could be flexible around the children, although that meant I probably didn't have any maternity leave, and of course working evenings and things like that. But it's fine because we make it work, don't we? We can work from home, and the children are part of the business now. They see exactly what we do, and they come with us on sort of business ventures.
Got a pack of T-shirts.
In fact, they design their own T-shirts as well. So yeah.
And from kind of around that time when you were you observed the business and you're like, okay, something's got to change in it. Yeah. At this stage, are you involved?
I guess not from a decision-making point, but I was there as a support, wasn't I? Just to kind of sound up ideas and help make a judgment on it.
Listen to me, man.
And so when it came to moving forward from that, then what decisions were taken? You bought extra kit in or new kit. Did you move premises as well? Did you take your team with you, upskill your team? Like, how do you transition from a team of people who are overstretched, overworked, and at Christmas time with old kit in an old pub to where you moved to and what you've got today?
Yeah, we needed to move to more an open plan space.
Before that, we bought an entry level sort of kit, but still like £45,000 to buy it. But after the mutiny, if I painted a picture of a better future that wasn't them staying up till 2 o'clock in the morning doing what they do, they were on board. So it wasn't too difficult in order to do that. I guess the question you're asking though is, I mean, when we started using those machines, we really systemized every single element of the business, and really started measuring absolutely everything. And I could see then how we could actually roll this out and start doing this as a service for the people. But no one was really ready to understand that model. And so we went along a path and lots of various other things happened. I think that what you were alluding to is kind of where the sort of path that led us to where we are today. And given sort of the restrictions that we had on the machinery we had at the time, the opportunity just wasn't there for us with the kit that we had. So we created our own bottleneck. So I invested in an even more expensive kit in order to, because I could see the sort of market changing, and that screen printers were really getting squeezed, and that high street brands were looking for much more quicker runs. So traditional model is if there's someone like John Lewis who ends up working with or living outfitters, they quite often get stuff made overseas, and there'll be like an 8 to 10 week lead time. Whereas we said, well, we can do half that volume, but we can do it in a week, 2 weeks if you give us if we get it. So that's really where I kind of saw the market going, and that's the market we did actually end up entering initially.
Okay. And from a financing perspective, because I know some of the people that are in this room, and it always, whenever we have private conversations afterwards, it always comes down to finance a lot of the time. You talked about 45 grand machine. You said that afterwards you bought an even more expensive machine. How do you go about, how have you gone about financing things? What's worked for you and what's not worked for you?
I guess, well, based on the fact that I managed to get everyone work so hard, rightly or wrongly at the time, meant that we made a lot of money, basically. And we really hit the boom time of the internet, sort of about 2007 to about 2010, 11. We did very, very well. And then the subsequent problems we had around our own e-commerce sort of platforms, I basically spent every single penny that I'd ever earned in the bank account completely empty, basically, either sorting out problems or investing in new kit for the future. So we pretty much, that's how we funded it. It was like, we made that much money, we spent it, that was it. And then you get to the point where that doesn't work anymore, basically, because the landscape has changed. It's not quite so easy to make money when you completely have to adapt again. And so we ended up having to get quite savvy in terms of actually figuring out how to borrow money. And we've only ever really done that traditionally through banks and stuff before. And where we are at the moment is T-Shirtify, how that evolved and actually became new business. We still had the kit, we still had the infrastructure that we had to service a different client base, but we just pivoted and change the model basically. So we had everything that was already there. Where we are now in terms of financing is that we realised that you can only bootstrap so far. If you've got big plans, if you've got big dreams, big more purpose-led dreams and a vision, then there's only so far you can go yourself by funding it yourself. And so that's kind of where I am, where we're actually looking for investment. So in order to get bigger than we've ever been before, that's what we need to do.
Okay.
And I'll add to that as well. We've actually we've got a financial director now who's very, very good at keeping control of the purse strings, which we're not so good at. And yeah, we work with him a lot, and we know exactly where the money's going, where we have to cut back on things, where we can take financing out. But as working for yourself with your own business, it's not easy to finance things. The bank's only going to look at your profit at the end of the day. And if you're trying to grow something, then there's not going to be a lot of profit there. So we have kind of come across challenges, haven't we? But yeah, like Rich said, we have bootstrapped over the years, and we have put a bit of our own money in. But yeah, it's being careful with that, so you don't go too crazy. But yeah, it is a month-by-month thing, isn't it? You really do have to keep your eyes on it.
So prior to having an FD, because one of the big lessons I learned in business was cash flow, but I learned it later on because in my early years, someone else managed all that. It was my father at the time when he was in the family business. And I found that one of my greatest lessons personally. So prior to having your FD, imagine at an early stage, if you're taking on 170 grand's worth of debt, you learn about cash flow quite early on. But then how much more growth did you find by expanding your team? Was your FD part of a board? Is that right? You've got a board at your place. So was he one of the first people to come on board? And since you created that, how much has that impacted your ability to make wise decisions?
Yeah, it was when we started T-Shirtify. He was one of the first people we appointed. Because you kind of, when you start a new company, you kind of get back to zero again. So it involved us doing a lot of things or delegating to the team we already got. And it's because it's not my thing. I don't want to be. You don't want to be the person making those sort of decisions. You don't actually. It's not my thing, so I shouldn't be doing it basically. And so yeah, he was one of the first people we definitely appointed. So and that, how did that change things? It basically freed up a chunk of my brain to do different things basically. And I think that's the that was the best thing for us to actually do that, for sure.
Did you know it was going to free you up? Because one of the things I'm always really keen on is people doing what they should be doing. And a lot of the time, when you're on your journey and it's early stages, you do everything, and you reach the stage where you assume, oh, well, I have to do everything because I can do it better than someone else. Until all of a sudden you break through that barrier and you realize the reality is most people are probably better than you are. So what's some of your earlier stages where you realize actually there's people better at doing that than me? And how has that thinking process changed the way that you build a team? Because you've got quite a good, strong team now from the last conversation we've had.
Yeah, we actually use the Wealth Dynamics profiling system. So we do that with all of our team. We even do it as they come in for interview, really. We can kind of guess what type of profile they are. So rather necessarily than advertising for a specific job role, we try and tailor it to a specific type of person, if that makes sense. So we try to appeal to, so for instance, just recently we know that we need to take on some more production staff during Christmas, and we know that those people are very good at timings. They've got a lot of tempo energy. So we try and tailor the advert specifically to that type of person. And it works. It seems to have worked each time. And we've moved people, we've restructured people in the team to fit a different role if necessary, and it just completely changes the whole energy within the team. And we know ourselves what we're good at, what we're not, and it's a relief. And it kind of, like Rich said, it frees you up. If you're in flow and you're doing exactly what you should be doing, you know you're not so good at something else, that shouldn't be your responsibility if you have got a team around you. And I think one of the biggest learnings over the past 12 months probably has been to get a person who's, if we can, get a more senior person within our team who can come in and advise, and they can fit straight into that role. They know exactly what they're doing. They've got that experience and knowledge rather than us trying to learn it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that's where we are at the moment. I think we really had to work hard. When you introduce anything like profiling, for example, it takes a long time for people to really understand the value of it to start with. Then they start seeing it work. Then they start putting it into action. And that whole scenario really takes 18 months to where we are now. And now, you know, we've just been away for 2 weeks. I've not been in the office for weeks. I've been on the road doing various different things. And in that time, because the team now, all we've done is set kind of a set of vision, a set of expectations. They completely self-organised. They're completely self-organised the entire Christmas plan, self-organised marketing plans. You know, when you get to that point where people feel like they're in the right place and you're supporting them to be in the right place, it's quite magical the things that can actually happen. And the next stage for us, as Kerry said, really is now we set that foundation. It's bringing people in that have got the experience, got the knowledge, and that the team then can learn from and skill up themselves, basically. So that's really where we're trying to drive that now.
And setting that really clear vision means that everyone that comes in automatically will say, look, these are our values, this is where we are today, that's the direction we're going. And if people don't like that, well, then they're not even going to get past the first hurdle. For those that aren't aware, just really quickly, because I didn't talk about it at the beginning, the profiling system they're talking about was created by Roger Hamilton, who started these socials. And I think at the minute they're used by, I think it just went over about 600,000 people that have taken the profiling test. And the simple way to think about it is an old quote that Einstein said, which is, everyone is a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will forever think it's stupid. And it goes back down to this notion that you have a path of least resistance. You have a pathway that makes everything that you're doing effortlessly. And usually it's referred to as flow. And it's that instance when time almost is irrelevant, when you're doing what you're doing and you absolutely love it. And even if someone was paying you for it, you wouldn't really consider it work because you love it. And so in business or in anything, even in your personal life, the more that you can find that path of flow, the less time you spend doing the murky stuff, the stuff that really is against your natural path, then the easier you'll find it. So I'm going to use that as a nice natural break for now. If everyone can please give Kerry and Richard a round of applause. Thank you very much. So we're going to break probably for about 10 or 15 minutes, and you have 3 jobs during the break. First of all is to find yourself a refreshment and make sure you're nice and comfy for when we get back. In front of you on your tables, you'll all see these sheets, small A6 sheets called Opportunity Knocks. Opportunity Knocks is something which I was taught a couple of years ago, and it really is about, whilst we're in this room, whilst you might hear some content, speakers, some information, and take that home and do something with it. Opportunity Knocks allows you to connect with people in the room in a really simple way. So we only ask 3 questions. What are you looking for? Who would you like it from, and what you can offer in return? And you'd be amazed at how many people in this room already have the answers that you need, or people in this room that are looking for the thing that you can give. So just take a couple of minutes and fill this out. There's a pin board just by the board here. Christina's lovely art is showing us there. The other job as well is to just break yourself off into 3s and 4s. Maybe fill these out together with each other and just share amongst yourselves, what have you learned just from this morning, from anyone that ever speaks. There's always golden nuggets inside. So just have a chat amongst yourselves, see what you come up with. And then after the break, we'll be looking for sort of things that people have learned from it, different shares. And if you come up with a couple of questions, then we can ask Richard and Kerry as well. So that's your task for the break. Thank you very much, guys. And we'll be back in about 15 minutes. Cheers.
Thank you.
I need to get these mics. Yeah, it's brilliant. You can't hear anything.
I can only hear through your mic. So when the mic is a bit closer to Mr. Kerry, I can hear them.
Aaron, can you get it?
You know, even though audio's going through all the mics, we can't hear on the live stream. You can hear this one. Are you sure? I think you can hear them all, but I think it's just the music's on. This way.
Test.
The laptop mic. Did you hear it? Really loud. That's why. I must have not changed the audio input. The problem is you can't. Yeah. Yeah, but the problem is you can't change it on the fly. You know, live streaming. I've just gone live. If I use that software, I could. I need to turn it off and turn it back on.
It'll be a new film.
We're gonna have to, aren't we?
Yeah. People will do.
I'll call this part one. I'll call this part one.
People will figure it out.